Well, good morning. Welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you with us. This is the next in my series of Super Bowl snacks. And again, I'm going to have a keto Super Bowl snack. This is an easy snack that you can take to a friend's if they're having the party, or make at your house if you're having the party. And really, you don't need a party to make these. These are just good, easy, super low carb, and tasty. These are creamy salmon stuffed mini peppers. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And if you click that little bell icon in the top right, you'll get notices when I post new videos. Now let's get started. So let's list these ingredients. I have here a little package. It's 3.5 ounces, I think, of smoked salmon. Now you know that's already cooked. And then back here I have the little peppers. Depending on your store, these could look differently. Sometimes they're little tiny mini bell peppers. These are just little sweet peppers. I have a packet of fresh dill here because you know dill always goes great with salmon. This is a 7-ounce cup of strained Greek yogurt. I'm going to use about half of that. And then I have an 8-ounce package of cream cheese. I have some green onions here. I'm going to use 4 or 5 of these, depending on the size of the green onion. Then I'm going to add a little salt. You can add pepper if you like. And I'm going to add some garlic. And I'll list all that in the info section. Now here are my little peppers. I'm going to wash them off. I'll just show them to you. You know, if you would rather use jalapeno peppers or some kind of hot pepper, you're surely welcome to do that. We're going to take all the seeds out so they won't be too hot. We're going to wash these, and while they're draining, I'm going to make the filling. So in my food processor, I'm going to put the softened cream cheese. I just left it on the counter for about 45 minutes, and it's softened. And I'm just going to cut that up in little chunks and put this in here. Now let me tell you, there were a dozen of those little peppers. So how many peppers you can fill with this mixture is going to vary depending on the pepper you've chosen. Here's my minced garlic, by the way. I just buy it in a jar like that. It's so much easier on my old hands. So the ingredients that I showed you will fill about 24 halves, or these dozen peppers. But I'm actually being a little stingy in the filling, so you may want to just go ahead and double this recipe from the beginning. So I'm adding a half teaspoonful of the minced garlic, and that would be about 2 cloves, something like that. And then I'm going to add my yogurt. As I say, I'm using about half of that package. So about 3 ounces by weight, or 6 tablespoons by volume. Then I'm going to add about a 1/4 teaspoonful of salt, depending on the salmon that you got, and the cream cheese. You might already have some salt in here. I'll taste it again to make sure that's enough. And then we're just going to start pulsing this and mix it up. Now, if you don't have a food processor, you can use your mixer. You could mix it by hand. Just tire your arm out a little bit, but you can mix it by hand. If you're going to mix it by hand or by a beater, you're going to have to cut these things up a little more finely. I just cut these up with the scissors. This green onions, that's about 4 of the little green onions. If you want to use regular onions, you can. I suggest you get the grater and grate them off to make them very fine, because you don't want to get a big chunk of onion when you bite into it. So I've washed my dill, and this is about half a pack. If you're just going to go pick some dill out of your yard, you want to pick 3 or 4 good full heads of dill to go in this. If you don't have fresh dill, you can use dried dill. You may want to use as much as 2 teaspoons full, because it takes a little bit more of the dried dill than the fresh dill. Just put a little in and taste it. If you need to add some more, you can. But the flavor of dill in this, you don't want it to be overpowering, but you want to taste the dill. So we want to pulse this a few more times because I just want it to be nice and smooth. I'm going to put this in a little decorator tube, so I want it blended really well. And I'm sure you'll have to push it down with a spatula at least once during this process, because it tends to climb up the sides. But you can see there, I've still got some little pieces of the herbs, little green spots. So I'm going to blend it just a little bit more to make it kind of uniform. And then when all of that is mixed together and creamy and smooth, I'm going to add the smoked salmon. And that's about 3 ounces of smoked salmon. And then I'm just going to blend all of that together until it's very smooth. As I say, it's going to go through a little decorator tube, so you want it to be nice and smooth. And again, you may have to scrape it down just a little bit, at least once, maybe twice, to get it mixed up. Now you can see little tiny red specks in here, little green specks. And you can reserve some small pieces of the salmon to put on top of each little pepper as a garnish or on the side of the plate. It's pretty good though. You probably want to get most of it in there. And when we get that all mixed up, I'm going to prepare the little peppers. Now how you prepare the peppers, how you cut them, depends on the kind of peppers you have. If you have the little tiny bells, you may just cut the top off of them. But because I'm going to slice these long peppers down the middle, I don't want to cut the top off, so I'm just going to cut the little stem off. And I want to let you know before I start doing this, these are kind of small, and I actually had a little trouble cutting them, not because of the knife or the pepper or whatever, but just because my arthritis is acting up and I feel a little bit clumsy. So I'm being careful not to cut myself. And I'm cutting down through this. And the reason I'm using the small knife and cutting them this way is because I want to keep the shape of the pepper. And I turned it away so that they will lay flat. And now we're just going to get a spoon to clean these out. And all you want to do is you want to cut that little top cluster of seeds out and then scrape down and scrape the membrane out. And I'll do that with all of these, and then I'll wash them to make sure I got all the seeds off. And you know, these are sweet peppers, so a stray seed wouldn't be a disaster, but if you're using some hot peppers, a stray seed might give somebody a nasty surprise because they're hot. So I want to get all the membrane and all the seeds out, and I'll just wash those off. There are 3 different sizes of these peppers that came in that packet, and these yellow ones, I started to actually not use the yellow ones because they're going to take a lot of filling. They're a whole lot bigger than the other peppers, but you know, I just went ahead. Tonight's not a party night. We're just going to have these as an appetizer before supper for just a couple of us. So I'll go ahead and use these yellow ones. But again, if you're making this for a party, you may want to try to get more uniform sized peppers. And how much filling you need is going to just depend on your peppers. So I'll show you this just a little bit more closely because this one's a little harder to clean out. So I just shove the spoon in there at the top and scrape it along the side and pull out the membrane. You know, if you have a grapefruit spoon, that works well. I looked for mine and couldn't find it. I keep one grapefruit spoon. So I'm going to finish doing these and then I'll come back and show you how I fill them. So I have this little extruder. It has several different tips you can use. If you don't have one of these, you can just take a small Ziploc bag, put all of your filling in it, and then extrude the filling through the hole in the corner. But I'm going to fill this up, and yes, I'm a little bit messy at this. But I'm going to put about half of it in here. Now, if you want one of these, they're not very expensive. I got it on Amazon. I don't make cakes and stuff, so I didn't see any need for me to buy a cake decorating. I mean, a real one, a good one, a cake decorating kit. But this works just fine, and it's worth having because you can, fill deviled eggs with it. You want to just push that down and close it up. And I picked a tip that kind of makes a little ruffled filling. It's great. It's great for filling cream puffs and that sort of stuff. You see, it's got a little sharp point back there. We'll push the air out and then fill these, and you can put as much filling in it as you want. As I said, I'm being just a little bit stingy with this filling. If you're having a big party, you want to double this recipe. But there you go. Just push, goes through really easy. But you can see why I was careful to make sure that I mixed everything and chopped it and processed it until it was pretty smooth. And I can't wait to try this on deviled eggs. I've used the bag with the corner cut out several times, and that works pretty well. If you don't want to buy another gadget for the kitchen and you don't do it too often, then just that bag works. I've done that for years. Now, if you don't have any of that, you could just spoon this in and come up with something that looks very nice. So I'm going to fill these. There's nothing new to show you here. I'm just going to fill them up and plate them up, and I'll be back. And this is what we have. And you can make a beautiful appetizer tray with these. You can serve them with a little piece of the salmon on top. If you don't have the mini peppers, you can fill a bowl full of this filling, call it a dip, and put some slices of pepper to dip into it. Or you can make an appetizer tray with these and with some carrot sticks and some olives and artichoke hearts. You've got lots of choices for your friends eating low carb. Hope you try these. Hope you like them. And I hope to see you again tomorrow on Debbie's Back Porch.